Today we are doing Parshas Vayishlach, and I'm going to share with you some beautiful words from the great Maggid Reb Shalom Shvadron, who has a number of different pieces on this Parsha, and we're going to collect different pieces and come to one full picture over here. And we're coming to the final confrontation between Yaakov and Esav. We've been dealing with this for the last few weeks. Parshas Vayetze, we had the birth. Parshas told us we had the birth of Yaakov and Esav, the two events where Yaakov bought the birthright for a pot of beans, and his ability to take away the bechor and get the blessings. Yaakov leaves with his great animosity that Esav has to Yaakov. And then in last week's Parsha Vayetze, Yaakov having to deal with Lavan. Now Yaakov is returning. And he wants to find out if after 36 years he can come back in peace to the land of Eretz Canaan. It's been 36 years since he left home. 14 years studying in the yeshiva of Shem and Aver. 20 years in Lavan's house. 2 years on the way back. All right, so now we're dealing with Yaakov is 99 years old now. Okay, they're both about 100. All right? Now, it's been 36 years since Esav said, if I see him again, I'm going to kill him. Okay, Yaakov now comes back. He sends angels to find out what is Esav's plans. And he says, Esav's got 400 generals, and he's preparing quite a welcome. Quite a welcome, and you better prepare yourself for this. So it seems that Esav is not giving up yet. And so as Yaakov is preparing, he sees it's going to be a big battle. So he prepares in 3 areas, prays to Hashem. He sends Esav a present, and he prepares for battle. Okay. So now, we're at this point in the story. First source, the Torah says, one more thing to add over here, that when he took his family, as this says over here, and he took them, his family, and brought them across the stream, and he brought across that which was his. To protect his family, he put him on the other side of the Yabok River. He separated his camps, so in case one camp gets destroyed, the other will run away. He's preparing for this battle. And then it's at nighttime. And then it says, and Yaakov was left alone. He was alone. And a man wrestled with him until the break of dawn. That's what the Torah says. So Rashi says, what was he doing alone in the middle of the night? Where's his family? Well, it's dangerous to go in the middle of the night. So Rashi in the second source said, he had forgotten some small jars and returned for them. He forgot a few things, a few jugs. And with the crossing, with the move, he left a few things behind. He went back to get these things. Shocking. Shocking. It's for a few jugs, you come back. So the third source, the Talmud of Chulin, tells us we learned something from this. From here we learn, I'll say it in Hebrew and you got the English there. L'tzadikim shechaviv alehem mamonim yoser migufam. That the righteous, their money is more endearing to them, more beloved to them than their bodies. Tzaddik cares more about his money than his body. And how do you know this? And why is this so? Why is this so? Because they don't ein poshtim yedehem begezel. They don't stretch their hands out in theft. A very strange piece of Gemara. Again, Yaakov, how did he get himself in trouble? How did somebody catch him alone? They could wrestle with him? Because he went back on his own to go get a few jugs that he left behind. How much could the jugs have been worth? Not a lot. So why did he go back? You know why? Because there's a rule. Tzaddikim, their possessions, their money is more beloved to them than their bodies. How do we know that? Because they don't stretch their hands in thievery. Okay, so there's a number of questions on this. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Number one, just because tzaddikim don't take things that's not theirs, right? So, how does that show that they love money? Number one. It's the opposite. If you're not stealing, you don't love money. Usually a guy who loves money steals. They love their money more than their bodies. You don't know that? Because they don't steal. I don't know. I think I'd ask certain people who are on the other side of the law, He asked him, why do you steal? Because I love money. So how can we say that tzaddik loves money? He doesn't steal. That's an obvious question. If anything, it's the opposite. You see, he doesn't care about me. He says he doesn't steal. He doesn't care about me. So why is he going to get that stuff? A. B. It says a very interesting words. It says, how do we know this? Because they do not stretch their hands out in theft. That's a very poetic way of saying they don't steal. Say straight, because they don't steal. When you stretch your hand out to steal, how else do you steal? So that's the second question. Third question is, it's very interesting that we say that a tzaddik, it's chaviv, it's beloved. As if to him it's beloved and to others it's not beloved. What does that mean? And parenthetically, we'll also try to understand. Those are the three questions on this chazal, just so it makes sense. And parenthetically, we'll touch on another issue. And the other issue is, a lot of times people notice that very religious people are very tough to bargain with in business. I'm not talking about religious people who steal in business. Those are not religious people. I'm not talking about those people. Unfortunately, there are people like that too. But you have certain people, religious people, they go to a store, they try to haggle you down with the money. Right? They say, how much does this blouse cost? $50. Come on, can't you sell it to me for $30? They haggle it out. And whenever you deal with very religious people, somehow they appear to be tight-fisted in terms of what they're willing to spend on items. They seem to be cheap. So we need to explain that kind of behavior, because that certainly is not, normally we think that's not proper behavior. So you have to understand what is the logic behind that. So that's one little section. Okay. Then what happens? Let's continue. Source number 4. So now what happens? Esav starts coming with his soldiers, and Yaakov's ready. He's preparing his family. And then finally, incredible, what happened? Esav has a change of heart for reasons we're not going to get into today. But instead of trying to kill Yaakov, he embraces Yaakov. He hugs and kisses him. And it seems that Esav changed his mind. He's not going to war with Yaakov. And that needs a whole class, which I don't have time for now. That's not the focus today. But now let's look at the discussion that went on between Esav and Yaakov. This is really the only time in the Torah that there's a discussion between these two brothers. Parshas told us you don't see one word of Torah. I'm sorry. You had one, the sale of the birthright. Okay, I'm hungry, this and that. But that was more like a business deal. It's you're hungry, you want this, fine. Here it's like a real discussion. It's a brother-to-brother discussion. And let's see how this brother-to-brother discussion goes. It says, he raised up his eyes, Esav raised up his eyes, and he sees Yaakov's family. He saw the women and children, and he asked, who are these to you? Who are these people? Yaakov answered, the children whom God has graciously given your servant. Then Esav said, then they start talking a little bit, and Yaakov explains, and he introduces the family, this and that, and they show respect to Esav. Esav says, okay, now I got to meet Yaakov's family. Then Esav says, okay, let's travel on and let us go. I'll proceed alongside you. You're going back home, I'll escort you. Let's go together. Yaakov said, but my Lord knows that the children are tender. The children are young. You go fast. They don't go so fast. It's dangerous. Going on a trip it's not like just going on a plane. And God forbid the children could get hurt trying to keep up with you. So thank you, but I'll pass on this. Then Esav says, well, let me assign to you some of my people who are with me. I'll send you some of my honor guard. And Yaakov said, to what purpose? Let me just have favor in my Lord's eyes. So Yaakov is trying to just avoid having to go back with Esav. And what happens at the end? So Esav started back that way on his way to Seir, but Yaakov journeyed to a place called Sukkot, and eventually Jacob arrived intact in the city of Shechem, and they separated peacefully. That's the story. Now, this whole exchange is about a dozen or so verses in the Torah. That's a lot of verses for the Torah to expend wordage on. So the question is, it seems like just a little encounter. It's like brothers meet each other. For whatever reason, Esav decided not to kill Yaakov. Okay, So they're having a talk. No, who's the family? This is my family. This is my kids. Why don't you go there? It seems like an innocuous discussion. Why would the Torah write so much about an innocuous discussion? It's like, imagine if you had a brother you hated, you reconciled after 35 years. You came and said, let bygones be bygones. No, who are these people? It's my family. Okay, fine. They really want to go back together? Nah, it's too hard. It's such a mundane discussion. Why would the Torah put so much ink on this? So to appreciate this more, we have to look in the Medrash called the Tana Devei Eliyahu. This is Medrashim that are attributed to Eliyahu the prophet. And it's a long, long piece over here, you see. And we're going to go through bits of it. It's going to give us a little bit of the background. It's going to create more questions. But it's going to help us to begin to understand what's going on over here. So whenever you have a part of the Torah that seems so much and doesn't seem that important, means it's really important. That's a rule. There's some things, binding of Isaac. It's obvious that was important. Right? It was important. Certain things are important. But when you have something innocuous that doesn't seem to be important at all, and the Torah is spending a lot of verses on it, then you have no idea how important it is. It's that important, but it's being hidden a little bit. So your job is to uncover what's going on. So the Medrash discusses a little bit. So I gave you the main points. I'm going to be quoting it. It's going to be almost the same, but I'm using my Hebrew text. The Medrash says, when Yaakov and Esav were still in their mother's womb, Yaakov said to Esav, now again, it's understood more on a spiritual level than physical, obviously. He said to Esav, my brother Esav, we are two brothers. And there are two worlds before us. Olam hazeh, olam haba. This world and the world to come. This world has eating and drinking and business, and you get married, and you have kids, and you have sons and daughters. The world to come isn't like that. It's different, it's totally different. So if you want Esav, you take this world, you take olam hazeh, and I'll take olam haba. Now how does the Medrash know that this indeed happened? Because you look at the story that happens later on, when Esav is very hungry, coming back from the field, and Esav says, give me the beans. And Yaakov says, I'll sell it to you. So Yaakov says, okay, sell it to me today, kayom, sell it to me now. Just like we were talking in the womb. Because I want the world to come and you want this world. So what happened? So Esav took his portion in this world, and Yaakov took his portion of the world to come. That's what the Medrash brings as a proof. Then the Medrash goes on. Okay. So now Yaakov goes to Lavan's house, and he comes back. And Lavan now sees that Yaakov has wives and kids and donkeys and animals and lots of money. So Esav says to Yaakov, my brother, didn't you tell me you were going to take the world to come? Looks like you got this world. Pretty good this world. What's with this world to come business? And I'm supposed to get this world. How do you got all this world stuff? Wife, kids, camels, are you a rich guy? So why are you making use of this world the way I'm supposed to be making use of this world? That was the question behind the pasuk that I read for you a minute ago. So Yaakov answers, very important answer. He said, what I have is a little bit of the bounty that Hashem has given for me to make use of this world as necessary. Now remember that clause. We'll come back to that. Okay? God gave me, whatever He gave me was to make use of this world as necessary. And that's what it means. When Esav cast up his eyes and he saw the woman, he asked that old question. Oh. So now it says, so now Esav came to his senses. The Medrash says Esav came to his senses. And he says, what is this olam hazeh? Look, this olam hazeh that Yaakov doesn't have a portion in it, right? He made up a deal, he's not taking olam hazeh. And look how much he got in this world. This was not his portion, look what he's got. The world to come, which is his portion. Can you imagine how much more he's going to get? You understand what he's going on? He's saying, Yaakov said, I'm taking olam hazeh, I'm not taking olam hazeh. And look, the guy who's not taking olam hazeh, he's a multimillionaire. He didn't take olam hazeh. Can you imagine what he's getting in olam haba? Esav comes to his senses. So at that moment, Esav says to Yaakov, come here, brother, let's become partners. Let's split it up. Let's reshape the deal. You know what? I'm going to give you half of this world. So I'll give you a little more. And you give me half of your world to come, and let's go halfsies on this. And that's what it means when Esau said, let's travel together. Let's travel together. Let's go back home together. Let's be equal partners. Let's go together. That's what he was really saying. You understand, this story wasn't just simple talk over here. It's Esau saying, hey, how do you get all this Olam Haza business? He says, well, I use what I need. Look what he's got. Man, it's amazing. And he didn't even get any Olam Haza. Let's make a deal. So what does Yaakov answer? Very strange answer, according to the Medrash. He says the children are delicate. They're weak. What did he mean to say? He says, you know, my children are weak. They're not going to be able to stand up to the persecutions that your children will give my children. All right? And that's what he says. Your master knows my children are delicate. Very strange response. I mean, obviously there's some idea of knowing in the future there'll be anti-Semitism from the descendants of Esau, which is true. But he said, if I'm going to share with you this world with them, my children will not be able to take the suffering. So what is that supposed to mean? But that's the Medrash. Okay, so now we have a second layer. You have the text that seemed to be very innocuous. The layer below that is saying, no, there was much deeper discussion. They're going back to that Olam Haba business. And Esau wanted to have a part of that cut of the Olam Haba. To which Yaakov says, no, I'm not interested. And, Olam Haza isn't really that great for me either. So that's already a deeper layer. Okay, let's just bring out one more source, and then we'll begin to discuss. Let's go back to last week's Parsha. When Rivka was pregnant with the two children, what does the text say in source 6? It says, Vayisrot tzitzu habanim bikirba. The children agitated within her. They were kicking. So the simple shot you all know is when she went past the church, Esau was kicking. Went past the Shul, Yaakov was kicking. But then Rashi brings a second shot from the Midrash, says a deeper interpretation. And he says, Misrot, last one there, Misrot tzim zein zeh, umerivim benachla shnei olamim. They're agitating each other and fighting over the inheritance of the two worlds of Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba. They're fighting over it. These two, they're agitating. It wasn't just stam kicking. There's big agitation going on. They're fighting about who's going to get this or who's going to... There's a big fight going on. That's what Rashi brings from the Medrash. Okay. Now, the problem is that this Medrash in source 7 is in conflict with the Medrash in source 5. Source 5 said, Yaakov says, there's two worlds. Let me make a proposal. You take this world, I take the next world. They said, fine. But the Medrash, the Rashi, said they were agitating over it. They're fighting over it. I mean, who's fighting? There's no fight. It's simple. Yaakov said, listen, there's two worlds. I'm happy on Olam Haba. You want to know what's fine. The Medrash from Tana de Veliosa said there's no agitation. There's no fighting. Source 7 is fighting. And even according to the Medrash, what were they fighting about? They were fighting? So what were they fighting about? I mean, to say Yaakov was fighting to get Olam Hazeh? Do you think for a minute Yaakov was fighting to get Olam Hazeh? And if he was, then why did he change his mind? There's a lot missing in the give and take if there was a fight. More than this, according to the Tana Velio, Yaakov said to Esau, listen, Esau, you should know, there's the world, there's this world, and then what's this world? Eating, drinking, working, kids, this, that. Why did Yaakov have to describe to him what this world is? Why did he have to describe it? This world is this world. What did he have to describe it for? And if you want to say, because he had to describe it because Esau didn't know what it was, then how did Yaakov know what it was? So why does it have to be described? And more than that, how can you give out portions of the world to come? Yeah, there's two portions. This world to come. I'm going to take the world to come. What are you going to take the world to come? You can't take the world to come. You got to earn it. You can't take it. It's not like an inheritance. Your father dies, he leaves you two portions. One portion is this world, one portion is the world to come. Me as an inheritor, I take the world to come. Inheritance you don't have to work for. Yaakov's saying there's two parts. I'll take this, you'll take that. What do you mean take this or that? You can't get it. You got to earn it. And more than that, and Yaakov was just willing to not live in this world at all? And Esau is not willing to think about his eternity? Very, very difficult issues over here. So now, that's all the questions. So basically, let's recap the main questions. The main question is, let's go back. We went back to the little jugs. Why? Because Tzaddikim, their money's so valuable. They love money. What's going on with loving money? And the biggest proof is they don't steal. That's not a proof. That's the opposite. That's a problem. This whole discussion between Yaakov and Esau when they meet again, as the Tana Velio explains, which is deep ideas, but still it's conflicting with other midrashim. It's what's this Olam Haza? What's this Olam Haba? One's going to take, one's not going to take. Was there a fight? Was there not a fight? How can you just get Olam Haba? Is Yaakov not interested in Olam Haza? Esau not interested in Olam Haba? What's going on there? So, the answer is, this was not a discussion of what to inherit. You got to remember, whenever you're learning anything in the Torah, we're not here to learn stories, facts and figures. They may exist, but that's not the reason why we're learning Torah. We learn the Torah to know how to live our lives. Today, in the year 2011, how am I supposed to live in this world? And you know how you're going to learn? You're going to learn from Yaakov how to yes behave in this world. And you can learn from Esav how to not believe in this world, how to not live in this world. Yaakov comes with a certain philosophy of life, and Esav comes with a diametrically opposed philosophy of life. And the Torah is going to great lengths and great pains to show you what their philosophies were and how things turned out for them. And by reading and learning what happened to a Yaakov philosophy and an Esav philosophy, now you're given the choice, how do you want to live your life? And obviously the suggestion is, you should live like Yaakov and not like Esav. That's the reason why you have Torah. It's not just to tell a bedtime story to your children, oh, Esav and Yaakov had a fight, this and that. It makes for a good story. It's great drama. I don't know if Hollywood yet did the Esav and Yaakov story. You know, they did Solomon and Bathsheba, right? You know, Samson and Delilah. They never did the Yaakov Esav story, which you could really, from a secular point of view, make it a very exciting story, an intriguing story. I don't think Hollywood's done that movie. I don't know why, Baruch Hashem, they didn't, because it would be another Chol Hashem if they did like all the others. But although it's an interesting story, that's not why God wrote it down for us. He wants to explain to us, that's what we're going to do in the next half an hour. There's a philosophy of life. It's the Yaakov philosophy, the Jewish philosophy of life. There's the Esav, who's the father of Rome and Western civilization. There's the Western philosophy of life. And these are totally diametrical philosophies. How do you look at the life you live? And what plays out? What happens to these people at the end? Who comes out better? What is the better way to live your life? What were the challenges each one had to overcome? And then you have to realize, you have to learn, how are you going to live your life? And Hashem obviously wants what's best for us, and is teaching you to live your life like Yaakov, not like Esav. That's the background to appreciate what's coming up. So what is really the issue over here? They weren't arguing, am I going to live, you're going to live in this world, and you're going to have this world's life, and I'm going to live in the next world, and I'm going to have the next world life. That wasn't the discussion. The whole discussion was about this world. But the question is, the quality of this world. In other words, and more importantly, what's the goal of this world? Me and you are going to be born, says Yaakov to Esav. How are we going to look at this world? Now there's two ways to, or how are we going to live in this world? You can live in this world as it is. It's this world. The world of eating and drinking and this and that, and I live in this world. And then there's a person who is a little bit higher than that. He lives in this world. In this world, he lives in Olam Haba in this world. Right? He can live in Olam Haba inside this world. Now, I've got to explain all this. But that was the real debate. Are we supposed to live this world for this world? And that's what it's all about. And I live in this world for this world for this world. Or really, while I'm in this world, I can really be living an Olam Haba existence while in this world. And that was the philosophical argument. I'm going to explain it now. But first I've got to tell you what I'm going to tell you. Then I tell it to you and then I review. Right? That's the way. Right? But that's the issue. It wasn't a question is, you're getting Olam Haba, I'm getting Olam Haba. That can't be, because the questions are too strong to say that. The question is, we know we're going to live in Olam Haba, so we're going to live in this world. How are we going to look at this? Esav, are you looking at this world to live in this world? Or am I really, I'm in this world, I'm living in Olam Haba. So let's give an example. We know that everything a person does has to have some kind of a goal. You do things for reasons and for goals. So let's say two people are building, let's say you have a new development somewhere in Toronto. Two people are building a brand new house. Exact same house, same model, one right next to the other. Are they really doing the same thing? What do I mean to say? Let's say the first guy, he's been saving up a lot of money, and he wants to build his dream home. Finally, he's saved up enough money. He's moved from one home to another. Now I want this multi-million-dollar home, and I'm going to the builder, this and that. I'm going to build it, and I'm personally building it, and I'm knocking in the nails and the hammer and all this. and I am building a house. Next guy is doing the exact same thing, but there's one difference. The other guy already owns a very beautiful home. He's building this to sell it. Are they doing the exact same physical activity? Absolutely. Physical, they're both building a house. But what are their goals? One person's goal is to build the house he's going to live in. The other one is doing business with a house. It's a big difference, isn't it? So, let's think for a minute about human beings who are put in this world. You can have two people that they both go to work, they both have kids, they both have family, they live in this world. And we'll also say they both are observant Jews. They go to synagogue, they pray, they learn, they give tzedakah. They may be doing the exact same activities, but do they have the same intentions? So one guy, we'll call him Reuven, he says, I know that one day the purpose of this whole world is to connect to God. That's the whole purpose. And I am building my palace in Gan Eden. I'm building my house. I want to build a beautiful palace. And therefore, how am I going to build that palace? I got to serve Hashem. That's how you build a palace. I'm serving Hashem. I got to go to Shul. I got to daven. I got to be kind. I got to do this. That's how you build your palace. Okay. I'm a human being. Okay. Human beings cannot live on air alone. I've got to go to work. I have to go to work. I have to make a little money because that way I can build a house, to live in a house, to live. If I can't live in this world, I can't serve Hashem if I'm dead. Okay, so I'm going to live in this world also. Why? So I can build my palace that I'm going to have for eternity with Hashem. Now, when this fellow, now what's the main thing in his life? The main thing is getting upstairs with the big man. So if he has to eat a meal, he's going to say, I know I got to eat, I got to go to work, but I got to try to limit it as much as possible. Because this isn't the goal. The goal is Torah mitzvahs and all that stuff, getting close to God. So if I got to go to work, I got to go to work. But that's not my razan d'etra. On the other hand, his friend Shimon is a little bit different. Shimon looks in the world, he sees what the internet has to show, he says, wow, there's a lot of beautiful things in this world, a lot of pleasures in this world. Boy, I really would like them. Listen, have a mega mansion, in an exotic retreat. It's going to be very pleasurable. Having fancy food, fancy clothes. I like this. It's a pretty nice thing, this world. Yeah, and they taught me in Cheder that there's a God, and that there's a Creator, and you have to be a good Jew, and you have to daven, you have to learn, you got to do that too. And he says, okay, listen, I'm going to be a good Jew. I have to be a good Jew. I have to thank God for what He does for me. Okay, so I'll go to work, I'll do this, and I'll also go to Shul, and I'll also daven, and I'll also give tzedakah. And I'll give a nice amount of tzedakah. I'm not going to be cheap. I'll give tzedakah. So, they might be, there's two guys, you can see them every morning at 6 o'clock going to the Talmud class. They're both davening at 6:45. And then they finish davening, maybe they take another class. And then they both go to work. And don't come back to Shul till the end of the day to daven Mincha B'Arv again. It looks like there's the same guys. But just like the guy who's building his house and the other guy who is building a house for business, this is the difference in these two guys. The first guy, Reuven, he says, I am building my eternal mansion in heaven to be with Hashem. And everything I'm doing is for that purpose. The other guy, he is doing business. He's a businessman. I'm a businessman. I like this world. I want this world. If you want to have this world, you better be nice to God. So I'm going to do a business deal with God. I already have my house that I like. It's this world. It's this house that I like. Right? Just like the businessman. He has already a nice mansion. Why are you building another mansion if you have a mansion? I want the money that comes from the mansion. Right? That's why I'm doing everything. The other guy's going to build his house. I want the money from the mansion. So the one guy says, Reuven says, listen, I don't have any mansion. I'm trying to build a mansion in heaven. I want to build a house in heaven. How am I going to do that? Everything I'm doing now is for that. Everything I'm doing is for that. Why are you eating? Why are you going to work? Because I got to do that. If I can't live, I can't build my mansion, my spiritual mansion. So I'm using this world for what? Really, for my olam haba. My whole use of this world is olam haba. Because when I'm done after 120 years, look at the mansion I built. And God says you can only build it when you're in this world. The other guys say, listen, I already have a mansion. It's called this world. That's the house I want. So why are you going to shul? Why are you davening? Why are you learning? That's business. What do you mean business? I got to keep the boss happy. It's a business deal. You know, I'm not that when I'm going to shul, that's not building my world. It's not building my home. You know the difference. When you build your house, if you've ever built your own house, everything's got to be perfect. If you're the builder for somebody else, you try to cut corners. You hope the guys won't catch anything. Now, unless the guy's paying you 5 times more than what he's supposed to pay, then maybe you'll do it properly. Yes, most people who have builders build, you know how they're ripping them off like crazy. Right? You tell them this, and then 2 years later, the whole thing's falling apart. Well, what happened? Because if they could do something without you seeing, then what do I care? I got the money. It's business. I'm not living in that house. There's a Jew who lives in his davening. That davening is making my palace. I can't cut corners on that. The Torah I'm learning, that's going to be everything I'm going to live with for the rest of my life. It's my house. It's my house with God. And it's got to be perfect. And that's my whole focus. And the fact that I have to eat breakfast, I have to eat breakfast. If I don't eat breakfast, I'll die. And if I die, I can't serve God. The other guy's saying, I like this world. This is it. So why am I an observant Jew? That's business. And I'm going to like this world. And I hope at the end of the day, I'll get a shtickle olam haba too. A little olam haba wouldn't hurt. Because I got to cover my bases. You want to have your cake and eat it too. How can you see the difference? Very simple. Look where they're running to and where they're not running to. So when they both come home, when they're finishing davening, so one guy, he's running to work. He's running. He's saying he's filling up before the last Kaddish is done. The other guy's also got to go to work. He says, listen, I got to finish davening properly. And you know what? I'm going to go to another class for another half hour. I can go to work a half hour later. Right? Then when they're both at work, now it's Erev Shabbos, and it's 3 o'clock. So the guy who was running out of the shul before, he ain't in a rush to leave the job. It's another big deal. I still got another hour and a half till Shabbos. I can walk in the door 34 seconds before candle lighting, and I'll be on time. Well, the other guy says, it's 12 o'clock. I got to leave, man. I got to run out because Shabbos is coming, and that's the most important day of the week. Do you see the difference between the two? It's two Orthodox Jews, two observant Jews. But one is observing his Yiddishkeit because he understands that the Yiddishkeit is his home that he's building. The other one says, no, my home is this world, and Yiddishkeit is business. Then you get certain talks like, I'm davening to God so He'll give me a good parnasa. It's a business deal. You're not davening God to get a good parnasa. Business is he's a business associate. It's a client. You don't get close to your clients. I'm davening to Hashem because that is my world. It's the world I am building. It's the world I want to live in forever. I'm going to be with God forever. I want to get to know Him a lot better now. So when I'm going to be with Him forever, I'm going to be very comfortable in this house that I'm building. Do you hear the difference? They're both Orthodox observant Jews, but the difference between them is night and day. Now, we have to decide which kind of observant Jew am I. It's a very delicate issue. You say, Rabbi, what do you want from me? I keep Shabbos, I keep kosher, los mechab. But the question is, we're not talking about the quantity, even though it's the quantity also, but it's the quality of your religion. It's an altogether difference. So this was what the Medrash Rashi was bringing, Surah 7. They were agitating, they were fighting over, what were they fighting about? They were philosophically fighting about, how do we view this world? That was the fight between Yaakov and Esav. Not who's going to get Olam Haba, who's going to get Olam Haba. The question is, so now, Yaakov saying, this world, this world is for, it's only for one thing, Olam Haba. This world is for Olam Haba. Finished. And that's what I'm fighting you, and I'm saying this world is an Olam Haba world. Esav is saying, no, this world is an Olam Haza world. And hopefully we'll get in a little Olam Haba on the top. I'm living in this world, I want to enjoy this world, and I'll put on tefillin and I'll keep kosher, because when I die, I do want to go there too. I don't want to be finished. But really it's Olam Haza. This is what I want. This was the argument. And Esav felt, as we'll explain, Esav Stam wasn't a rush. You think it wasn't a rush. He was a genius. We'll explain in a minute. Esav said, you want to get to Olam Haba, my friend? The only way you're going to get there is if you enjoy this world. That's how you're going to get to Olam Haba. Yaakov said, no. The only way you're going to get to Olam Haba is through this world, but by taking as little as you need. So they had an argument, how they're going to argue what's primary and what's going to get you where you need to go. Yaakov said they both knew they have to get to Olam Haba. Don't make a mistake. They both have to get to Olam Haba. But Yaakov is saying, I can live Olam Haba in Olam Haza. In this world, you're going to live in Olam Haba already. You're going to build your palace here, right now. Esav said, no, if you're going to do that, I'll explain why, you won't even get into Olam Haba. It won't work. It won't work. You want to get Olam Haba, you better enjoy this world. If you enjoy this world, then you have a chance to get into Olam Haba. Now we have to explain what that argument revolved around. But that's really all I'm telling you, is what what Rav Moshe Chaim Luzzatto said in the first chapter of Mesilas Yesharim. The first chapter he says, the general rule is man was not created for his position in this world, but for the next world. But this world is the means to get to the next world, which is the goal. And all the pleasures of this world should only be used as an assist to you to get into the next world, so that you should have presence of mind to be able to serve God properly in this world. That is the Yaakov philosophy. Yaakov says, there's one goal in life. Get to the next world. That's the goal. But you know what? But you're going to use this world and use it well and live in this world to get there. You're building that house over here. Esav says, I too want to get to the world to come. Something I don't want the world to come, but you get here by really focusing on this world. If you really enjoy this world, you will get to the next world. Now I've got to explain the difference of philosophies. But just to be clear, don't, as I said a few times already, everyone makes up that Esav is this Hell's Angels biker with the tattoos, and if you run into Esav, he'd be disgusted. He's one of these gory kind of guys. No way. Esav was like a Hasidic Rebbe with a white, long kapota. You look at a picture of a Hasidic Rebbe at a tish, that's what Esav looked like on the outside. And Esav definitely, wanted to be in that kind of a world. He wanted to be in that world. So, and you should know another rule. When the Torah talks about people, it only talks about great people. Torah would never waste a drop of ink on a bum. Because you know what? Everybody knows not to be a bum. You don't have any stories in the Torah about Hell's Angels bikers who just want to be, licentious people for the sake of being licentious. Torah's not going to write that. Who's going to do that? Anybody in the Torah was a person who had great mind, great philosophies, powerful individuals, but mistaken. They have to learn not to make those mistakes. Torah doesn't say, don't take acid and don't do these things. You'll be an idiot to do that. Torah's not talking to idiots. Although now maybe the Torah would need to talk to idiots. But people are that crazy, there's nobody to talk to. So people who at least are taking their life seriously. Okay, so now let's look at some serious, legitimately appearing philosophies that great minds have thought about. It's much more difficult for me to dissuade you from accepting philosophical lifestyles that very brilliant people have authored than me to say don't be a Skid Row bum. No one's going to argue for me. If I tell you not to be a Skid Row bum, you're going to argue. No, I think we should be Skid Row bums. But guy says, well, listen, he's a PhD, he's a doctor. His name is Dr. Darwin. He says we come from monkeys. Let's talk about it. Somebody who's that smart, we have to deal with that guy. We have to disprove him. When Torah talks about Esav, we're not talking about a Hell's Angel biker who, he's a bum, stay away from him. No. He's very intelligent. And you know what? Most observant Jews, don't be offended, think like Esav and act like Esav. That's why the Torah tells you about Esav. Because Esav you're just like Esav in many ways that you have to learn not to be that way. Me and you and all of us have that Esav inside of us. And it's a powerful, apparently legitimate way of looking at life that you better be darn careful about. And therefore I said, I'm going to write a lot of words to warn you about this. I'm going to watch in life what happens to people like this. So Esav's not a bum. Esav is a giant. He's a giant in mind, in ability, in talent. And, a bunch of angels went to him in this week's parsha. Angels, he wasn't impressed. The angels mentioned, I don't care, I can still go after Yaakov if I want to. He was a great man. And he says, maybe I made a few mistakes in my life. King Solomon said, there isn't a man who doesn't live in this world, there isn't a tzaddik who doesn't make a mistake. I've made my share of mistakes. Yes, I've married some shiksas. It's my share of mistakes. I sold the birthright. That was a weak moment. I lost the blessings. I wanted to kill my brother. That was a weak moment. But I'm basically a very good man. I have a philosophy of life. And my philosophy of life will get me into the world to come. This is the way Esav is. This is before we have standard Jewish philosophy laid out for us by Luzzatto and all the great rabbis. They're trailblazing these ideas. And Esav's idea is what was Esav? Was a hunter. Was very convincing. He could hunt people down. He could hunt his father. He didn't only hunt animals, it hunts people. And this has very big relevance in our lives. What wealth and shang you live in. If you live in the wealth and shang, the next world is what really matters. And this world is just enough to get by versus this world is everything will make a big difference where you send your children to school. What, you're going to send them to high school, yeshiva, university? Where are you going to send them? What's their goal? What's their tachlis? Esav will tell you, of course, you have to have a job that makes the most money because you want to live in this world and enjoy it the most. Well, Yaakov will say, you got to live in this world, but take the least you need. Those are the debates that Orthodox Jews have to make these decisions. Real, practical life. How big of a house do you buy? It's all practical things. And Esav has very convincing arguments, as we'll see in a minute, for this. So Esav clearly felt that he chose this world to get to the next world. That was his philosophy. Now we got to see the psychology and what was behind it. Now we come to the crux of the philosophy. It's a fantastic topic here. It's unbelievable what God is sharing with us here. So we know that we as human beings have a big major conflict. On the one hand, I have a body that loves this world. I'm an animal. We are all rational animals on one level. We're very sophisticated. We know what good things are in life. Cows just know what grass is. Tigers know how to kill an animal. But we really understand what pleasure is. We understand what sushi is. We understand what a spa is. We understand what a good round of golf is. I'm not saying you can't do this. But our bodies are hardwired for pleasure. Clearly. And we want it, and we feel it, and you enjoy it when you have it. On the other hand, we got a brain, we got a soul that says, remember, you're way beyond this. You're a godly individual. You're meant for godly pursuits. And don't fool yourself with the animalistic desires that you have. You are a godly person, and that's where you got to end. You're an eternal being with an eternal future, with a destiny, with a purpose. Big conflict. How do you deal with this conflict? This is a major philosophical issue. God didn't make it simple. If he would have made us all just, geniuses without wanting this physical world, we'll all say, learn Torah, no problem. If he made us without a great brain, just with an animalistic desires, also no problem. But God made a big problem for us. He's telling us, listen, I want to have the pleasure of getting close to me. That's a spiritual pleasure. I also made you a person who really loves physical pleasure. I did that for your free will choice, you see. But that creates a philosophical question. How do we deal with these conflicting forces? So Esav said like this. If you're going to say that I'm living for the next world, and I'm doing everything for God, God, and I daven a lot, and I do a lot of mitzvahs, and I do this, and all these pleasures, this world, no. Round of golf, no. Go bowling, no. A piece of steak, no. What? Bread and water, barely. Well, how about a nice outfit? No. See, if you live this way, the animal part of the person, the rational animal, is going to get depressed. I can't have anything here. What is this going on over here? I'm living in a hell right now. What kind of life? What is this thing? Shabbos? 25 hours, what can I do? Okay, stay off. I appreciate it. Can I go to the beach? No. Can I go to a movie? No. Can I watch television? No. Have any physical pleasure? No. What do I do with it? Pray to God. Sing Smiros. Learn Torah. Wait a minute. This is enjoyable? Doesn't sound enjoyable. It's exactly how a teenager looks at life. Or a secular Jew. No. What is this business? You tell me, being observant is hell. What's going to happen afterwards will be a bigger hell. So now Esav not only is a philosopher, he's a psychologist. And what do modern psychologists say? You got to make the body happy. You can't repress. Don't deny. The body wants it. That means it's natural. It's natural. Give it what it naturally wants. And he will enjoy this world. Let a person enjoy this world. Because when a person enjoys this world, then he'll enjoy the Creator. And then he'll say, and then, you know what? And I'll also go to Shul. And I'll also daven. Because I'll thank God for it too. But make sure that this world, you got everything that you want in this world. If you make the animal happy, oh, I love this world. It's an amazing world. But you know what? You want me to go to Shul? I'll go to Shul too. Why not? God gave me a good world. I'm doing good. I'll go to Shul. I'll thank Him a little bit. Why not? I'll learn a little bit of Torah. It's not bad. I'll do a little kindness. Why not? But my real life is this world. Now, by doing this, that's how I'll get to the next world. Now, how great's going to be that next world? Well, it can't be that great if you don't spend that much time on it. But be good enough. Be good enough. In other words, this world has to be a 5-star world. Everything I have is I want. I'm happy. And I'm a nice guy. And I'll appreciate that. And I'll do a business deal with God. And I will say, okay, you want me to go to Shul? Yeah, I understand. You're the boss. You can dictate certain rules. It's only reasonable. I mean, I'm not selfish here. You gave me a lot of things, and I acknowledge it. But the spiritual thing isn't my home. I don't feel at home it's with spirituality. But at the end of life, I don't want to burn in hell either. Okay, so I hope I'll get something in the next world. I'll get up there. It might not be a front row seat. Maybe the 300 level. Okay. But as long as I was on the ground level, as long as every day I got center court, 50-yard line tickets every football game that cost $500 a seat. It means I don't have time to learn because it costs a lot of money. You're going to get 2 tickets. You get the 2 best tickets at a football game. It'll be a good football game. Boy, you have a good time. It costs at least $1,000. Good tickets? You want to be in the lounge also, right? The indoor lounges. If you want to enjoy this world. It has a lot of hours of work to do that. Not a lot of time to daven. Not a lot of time to learn. But that's okay. But I like God. And I like God. And when I get up there, I'm okay with a little portion. But this I'll get both. The best of both worlds was the Esav approach. Sounds convincing? Does it sound you've heard by a lot of observant Jews who talk this way? On the other hand, Yaakov says there's a very simple rule. There's a great danger in following your pleasures. He who has 100 wants 200. There's no such thing as saying, give me this world, and then I'll be able to stop. And then I'll be able to be a good Jew as well. You're playing a dangerous game. You're playing a dangerous game. Therefore, Yaakov says, you know what? Let's remember. The main thing is Olam Haba. That's really the main thing. But we're in this world. Of course we're in this world. And this is the only way we're going to get into the next world is by living in this world. And everything in this world is just to get me there. And that's the main thing. So what about this world? This world you minimize. Just take what you need. Just enough. Enough that'll make you, don't starve yourself. You have what to eat. You have enough. But remember, don't expand that pleasure to the extent that's going to minimize the next world. You got to know your priorities. But that's not going to be fun. Well, the real fun is in the next world. And you know what? You don't even wait till the next world. You can enjoy it here too. You can bring God into your world right here, right now. This moment, you could be sitting with Hashem, if you think about it. And on Shabbos, you could really appreciate Hashem. You got to develop more sophisticated appreciation of pleasure. Well, I'm not telling you not to live in this world, right? But be careful. This world is a tricky world. God purposely made it to seduce you and fool you, to challenge you. Just take what you need. Okay, now everybody may need a little different, But don't ever look to indulge yourself in this world, because once you start to indulge yourself in the world, it takes a life onto its own. And all of a sudden, you get used to this, you get used to that. The animal wants to be satisfied. There's no end of satisfying the animal, and it's going to have to come out of somewhere. And this was the ultimate debate between Yaakov and Esau. How do we get from this world to the next world? Do we say, as long as this world was a really great this world, I'm happy with a modest amount of next world? And all it was a business deal? Or do we say, no, the main thing is next world. This is the whole point of my whole existence, next world. But God put me in this world. Okay, put me in this world. I can't make myself unhappy and depressed. Orthodoxies are not supposed to be depressed. You should never withhold to the point that you feel like you're dying. That's not going to work. But how about if you lower your expectations of what this world is meant to provide for you? Once the expectations are lowered, the drive can be lowered, and then you can get by on what you need. No one's suggesting to be a tzaddik you have to starve to death. But believe me, everyone can be very well fed at 1/10 of the money they spend now to feed themselves. I've got a simple example. Don't get offended. How much, if I wanted a tray of sushi this big, how much does it cost? $150. If I would just take rice and some fish separate, how much would it cost? How much would it cost? $30. So why do I have to make into sushi? Well, it's the same taste, for goodness sake. It's rice and fish. And I'll put some of the sauce, teriyaki sauce, whatever. I don't know what the sauce they put on. Soy sauce. No, it's the presentation. It's round. It's beautiful. I said, what are you making me crazy? You got to eat to live. I mean, it can even taste good. I got nothing against it. You want to have rice, rice is good. You want to have a little fish is good. You want to put a little sauce, have a sauce. Just put it together. No, but I have to pay for the presentation, this and that. Why? I want to know, how are you deprived by having a big shissel of rice with some fish on the side, with some sauce? You're going to tell me you've been deprived?
It's not all together if you don't get that flavor.
What is it? So I'm saying, are you nutritionally deprived? I mean, you didn't get the taste with rice. It could be very tasty rice, very tasty fish. Then what's wrong with that? No, it's got to be all the flavors working in unison to titillate your tongue to that. Who needs it? That's the point. There's no end to the physical pleasures. Now, God says, have rice, have fish. Good, gesundheit. It will only cost you $30. A tray of sushi, that's $150. Where is that going to come from? I got to work more. Oh, that's it. Torah's not depriving you. Your body, your animal is convincing you're deprived. There's no. We're not talking about when there's worldwide hunger. We're not talking about when there's no food for anybody. We're talking about right now in Canada. No Jew is starving. But we make ourselves. Because you need to have the sushi, now you have to learn, you have to work 2 hours more today to pay for that sushi deluxe, and if you're going to learn 2 hours less today. So Asa says, you got to enjoy this world to the limit. If you enjoy it to the limit, then you'll be happy with God. And Yaakov says, you're playing a dangerous game. Enjoy it, but remember, this isn't it. That place is it. And if that place is it, you make sure that everything is focused in that direction. Doesn't mean you have to starve. But just use it to the degree you need to use it to get you to the next world. You want to love Hashem? If Hashem made food tasty, good. No problem. Challah on Shabbos is amazing. Go make challah, enjoy it. But have one piece. You don't need to have a whole challah. The whole challah is the fresher part of you, not the human being of you. Have a good, nice piece of challah. It's so good. Hashem, your mamish is so great. That challah taste is so great. I love you. So you have this. You don't have this world. I'm going to starve on one piece of challah, one piece of fish, one piece of kugel, one piece of chicken, and a fruit for dessert. And we're going to walk out starving. And your taste buds will have been very much enjoying the tart taste and the challah taste. Very good. How come we walk out 5 pounds more after every meal on Shabbos? Because that's Esav eating at the table, not Yaakov eating at the table. This was a philosophical difference between Yaakov and Esav. I hope I've been able to articulate this properly. I hope I'm doing Rabbi Shvadron's justice over here. So is Yaakov really losing this world? No. He's using this world the way it was meant to be used, and he's enjoying this world. He just has a reasonable understanding. I'm not meant to enjoy it to the hilt. This world, enjoy it to the point to live. Once you're living okay, that's enough. Now, main job is the next world. I'm here for the next world, and that's the main thing. And let me build my world right here. And Nebuch, I have to enjoy certain things. And if I had a job and I didn't have to work, I wouldn't work. If I could work a little less, I'm always looking forward to working less. On the other hand, Esav says there's no way. Esav says, I believe in the world to come. What are you talking about? Yaakov, your way won't work. You're going to be one of these radical religious guys. You know, that's why the secular people think Haredi people don't enjoy their lives. Ask the secular person, can you live like Haredi? How can I do that? They don't have internet, they don't have television, this, how can I live? You know what? You could live, believe it or not. If you all got rid of your cell phones, you would live, and you'd be happier. I can't believe it. That's Esav talking, not Yaakov. It's Esav talking, not Yaakov. Man? Would you say I'm an easily accessible rabbi? Anybody ever had to wait weeks to get a hold of me for me to get back to them? Right? I don't have a cell phone. How do I get back before most people with cell phones get back? You can do it. It's not hard. Right? No, but if you want to play and enjoy and go every place, to be accessible on the golf course, yeah, I guess you have to take a Palm Pilot with you. But if you're at your job, doing your job, then you don't have to worry about that. Okay, I'm not saying get rid of your cell phones. I'm saying, but this is what it is. iPad 1, iPad 2, iPhone 3, iPhone 4, iPhone 5, iPhone 5. You know, it just never ends. You know, and it costs money. Everyone costs more money. Rabbi, you know, it's very expensive to live as a Jew. Who said it? That's the problem. Okay, so now the questions are beginning to all fall apart here. There's no questions. It wasn't a question who's going to get this world, the next world. The question is, how do you use this world? Yaakov said, you know, now Yaakov, now we come to the Medrash. Medrash says, you know what this world is, Esav? This world is eating and drinking and getting married and having kids and going to work. What was Yaakov saying to Esav? Esav, this world is a world full of taivas, full of lust. You realize what kind of world this is, this world? So Yaakov's saying this is a dangerous world. That's why he's articulating what it is. It's a world full of taivas. You can get swallowed up by the taivas of this world. Don't focus on this world being the way, the gateway, the focal point. Make it good, make it solid, and you also get Olam Haba. It ain't going to work. You're not going to be able to say. And what was the proof? The proof was, the Medrash says, for when Esav came home hungry, what was he willing to do? For a pot of beans, he's willing to sell the birthright. He said, I'm willing to sell Olam Haba for a little more Olam Haza. And Yaakov says, you know what? I could take the Olam Haza, the pot of beans, and get Olam Haba by getting your birthright. That's the Medrash's proof. Because this world will inevitably combat the next world if you let it. And therefore, and that's what the Medrash brings as proof for that. And that's the philosophical difference. And the question is, so how do you end up? Who got the better deal? Do you understand what everything is going on? So now you understand. So who got the better deal? So who's right? So Parshas Vayetze is predominantly an Esav parsha. Esav was the hunter. Esav was this. The father loved Esav. It's Esav. Last week's Parshas Vayetze was a Yaakov parsha, completely Yaakov. He goes to Lavan, all the dealings he has with Lavan. This parsha, we now have the two philosophies are now merging. When you finish Parshas told us, you understood good and well what an Esav is. When you finish Vayetze, you know good and well what a Yaakov is. Now told us the two philosophies come together, and let's see who understood what better. So let's look at Esav and just analyze him a little bit from Esav's perspective. What did Esav think about himself? After everything he did, he looked back at his life 2 days before he meets Yaakov. Okay, he's 100 years old. He's lived his years 100 years. He was in Cheder till he was 13. Then he left Cheder. He says, now I want to go into the world. I'm going to start hunting. I go kill Nimrod. Oh, see, that was a good thing. He killed the biggest Russia in the world. I mean, that's like worse than Saddam Hussein, worse than what's his name that they killed. Nimrod was the worst terrorist in the world. He was a spiritual terrorist. Esav killed him. Chalk one up for Esav, man. See what kind of tzaddik I am? But really, you only killed him for the coat that he had. But we're not going to talk about that. He did kill public enemy number one. He was the antithesis to Avram Avinu. That's a nice Jewish thing to do. It was. You killed a Russia. So, what kind of guy is? Look how much I honor my father. The Talmud says nobody honored their father in the history of the world like Esav did. The greatest rabbis didn't come close to the way Esav honored his father. Esav's an amazing guy. He's very spiritually attuned. Yeah, but how come he didn't love his mother? The Medrash said he wanted to kill his mother. The Medrash said, after Yaakov stole the blessings, and he finally realized there's nothing he can get from his father, he arranged to get married to the daughter of Yishmael, so he and Yishmael could make a private pact that Yishmael would kill his older brother Yitzchak, and Yaakov would then kill Yishmael without telling Yishmael. He says, now I'm going to defend the honor of my father and then kill Yishmael, get rid of all the big people, and then go kill Yaakov. That was part of Esav's life. When Esav's really hungry, what does he do? He'll sell his birthright for a pot of beans, even a raw pot of beans. Because why? He's living for his ideal. The ideal is you got to enjoy this world. If you don't enjoy this world, there's no way you could ever serve God. But what about those 5 Averos you did? The day your grandfather died, you denied God, you raped a woman, you killed people, you worshipped idols. Well, that was a weak moment. We're human beings. I'm a tzaddik. I wear a kapot every Shabbos. I heard that my Sadie died. That was terrible. So I lost it for a little while. I lost my spiritual sensitivity for a while, but I'm really a good guy. Right? And that was Esav's life. And he says, and look what kind of rotten stinker brother I got, who went and stole the birthright from me. Right? So obviously, and when my father said, I don't want you to marry any shiksas from Canaan. So I had a little bit of charata. I felt bad about it. And so what I did, I went and married Yishmael's daughter, who was not one of those shiksas. Yeah, but did you divorce the 2 shiksas yet? No, that I couldn't do. It was too hard to do. I couldn't. But I'm a good man. I'm a good person. I'm a good Jew. Because I want to do what's right. And what's right is to enjoy this world. And, a little olam haba afterwards. And at the end of the day, did I have to resort to stealing like my brother did? Look at my religious brother. Look how crooked he was. So Esav, when he's finished, he says, and he still felt his philosophy was a good philosophy. You know what? It's the best you could expect under a difficult situation. God gives you a godly soul with an animal body. I'm doing the best I can, man, and I think it's darn good. Okay, but the Torah obviously, so outwardly he's wearing the kapata, he's a religious Jew. But look at all the mistakes he's making in his life. You sell your bechor for a pot of beans. You want to kill your mother. You want to kill your father. Even when you're trying to do tshuva, you can't do tshuva. That was your life. Now, Yaakov, on the other hand, he chose the world to come. I really didn't care about this world. And this world was just what you got to make out of it. That's all. So now let's think, Esav looking at Yaakov, the secular Jew looking at the religious Jew. How does Esav look at Yaakov? Remember, Esav, I'm not a rush, I'm a good guy. So therefore, if I'm a good guy, because I have my philosophy, and Yaakov has the other philosophy, there's no way Yaakov can be a good guy. He's got to be wrong. And he had many supports to say this. He says, first of all, how do I know? First of all, Yitzchak loved me, he didn't love Yaakov. Right? So in fact, he loved me and not Yaakov. That's first proof that I must be a better guy than him. Okay. Number 2, who says, and I've made mistakes, who says Yaakov's not going to make mistakes? Who says he hasn't made mistakes? You wait. He's been lucky. I've had it hard. I had to go to the field. I'm out there in the real world. You know what it is to be out there in the real world? I'm really in Olam Hasa. I'm struggling with this Olam Hasa. And that's why I'm making mistakes. Cut me some slack already, huh? This guy, he sits in Koil all day long. What does he do to help the world? Nothing. You wait until he goes to Lovin. He has to be in the real world. Now we're going to see what's going to happen with him. So at the end of last week's parsha, Asa says, I make mistakes, but I'm a tzaddik. And who's to say my brother won't be a worse tzaddik? I only did 5 Averos. Who knows what Yaakov's going to do? And look right away. Yaakov, because he has to run away. He's been sent out of the house. He has to find a shidduch somewhere else. He's so disgusted with this world. He can't live with this world. He can't even find a shidduch, the guy. He's so religiously whacked out. He's so frum. Nobody is good enough for him. He has to go away from home, leave his parents, not to keep it up at aim. That's a big thing, honoring your parents. You know that. How many secular people who see their children become Baal Tshuvas, and when they ask them to be Machal Shabbos, they say, now, you remember, honor your father and mother. I like to throw that one in always. So look, what did Yaakov's religious lifestyle give him? He can't even find a shidduch. He can't live in this world. He's got a godforsaken place in Haran that everybody knows has got terrible living conditions. He's leaving Eretz Yisrael. How important is to live in Eretz Yisrael? Who does not live in Eretz Yisrael is this if he doesn't have a God? Look what Yaakov's lifestyle has given him. He can't serve his parents. He can't live in Eretz Yisrael. He can't find a shidduch. See what happens to these religious people? Now, if you're Esav, doesn't that sound very convincing? Right? So therefore, Esav said, look, Yaakov wants Olam Haba. First of all, he doesn't even have this world. And doesn't have Olam Haba because he's not doing the mitzvahs that he's supposed to do. Esav, listen, I'm still honoring my father. I'm still living in Eretz Yisrael. I do have Eretz, okay, what do you want? It's a tough deal, man. Esav, in his mind, he will justify everything he's doing. And to denigrate Yaakov as much as possible. Okay? And therefore, he says, how does Esav look at it at the end of the day? He says, I've made mistakes. And really in my heart, I'm a good guy. I want to divorce my wife. I just can't stand it. And that's part of because God put this animal part in me. But, intellectually, I know it's wrong. I'm okay. I at least know what I'm doing wrong. But at the end of the day, listen, I have a good world. I like this world. This is a good world. Olam Haba, I'll get a little bit. Because remember, I honored my father. They're going to give me something in the next world. I live in Eretz Yisrael. That's how Esav thought it was until he came to this week's parsha. He comes to this week's parsha and goes, now I'm going to see Yaakov. I'm going to see that yeshiva boy who's been away for 20 years by love, and he's going to look, he's probably shaved his beard off. He's probably a modern guy. He's probably more secular than me. He comes back, and Yaakov sends a message. I was with Lavan, in Lavan Garti, the rabbi says, Garti is the numerical value of 630, and I kept all my 630 mitzvahs. My spirituality did not drop one iota being over there, number one. Number two, Esav he looks up his eyes, and what does he see? He says, Yaakov's got wife, kids, wealth, cattle. He's religious. He's got everything. And now, all of a sudden, Esav realizes that whatever I said about my brother was wrong. In one moment. The only thing that legitimizes himself is religious people don't know how to enjoy their lives. They don't have anything. He's poor. He can't keep the Torah. Right? Yaakov comes back. He's as rich as Esav, if not richer. He's got kids. He's got family. He's got this. And he's ultra-Orthodox and ultra-religious. That's what secular Jews hate the most. Secular Jews hate a successful, religious, Orthodox businessman. Because that Orthodox man is able to say, I could be in your world and still be religious. That's why they're hated. That's the Esav philosophy. It's just coming out. It's just coming out. And then the question, should you take the gift or not? And he says, I don't need the gift. But Yaakov says, Yeshli kol, I have everything. I'm not missing anything. And Esav says, well, I have a lot. So I guess I will take your gift. Because a lot means I could always want to have more. So now you begin to understand the beauty of this Tana of Eliyahu. This Tana of Eliyahu says, they're arguing about this world is the world to come. They're arguing what's the main focus. How are you going to use this world? Is this world for this world? Is this world for the world to come? Now Esav says, I don't get it. I don't get it. Didn't we say that you're living for the world to come? Didn't we say you're living for the world to come? And look what you got over here. So what was Yaakov's answer? In other words, how did you succeed? That's what I've been telling you. I only used this world to the degree that I needed it. And if God wants to bless me beyond in ways, I'll take it, but I don't need it. I only used what I needed from this world. That was the secret. And Esav had to agree by looking at Yaakov how his life was a failure. So now Esav comes along and says, well, if it's a failure, then please, can I join in with you? Because he's still a businessman to the end. He begins to realize, he says he's happy with whatever he has, and I'm never happy with what I have. So he has more of this world than I have of this world. And religious, he's for sure religious. And I'm a guy who's struggling with my religion. So that's like Yisachar and so we'll split it up. I'm going to give you half of my world, so you can give me half of your Olam Haba. So what does Yaakov answer? He says, I'm sorry, the children are weak. They're delicate. And this is where the Medrash adds something outstanding. And we won't be able to take the suffering that you're going to give us. What does that have to do with anything? So Yaakov reveals a brand new thing. A whole new brand new thing. He says, not only have I proved to you philosophically that my way is right, and only taking a little bit what you need and focusing on the world, that's going to be success. You could have both worlds. There's one more thing you should know, another side benefit of being so religious like me. What do you do when God inflicts suffering in your life? How do you react? The person who says this world is the main world and this world has to be the world that I enjoy, you can't take suffering because that's going against everything you want from this world. They don't have the tools to deal with suffering, because suffering by definition means you're not getting what you want in this world. And therefore the Esav guy can't make it. Yaakov says, my philosophy of life, if the next world is what counts, and that's everything depends on that, and this world is just a world how to serve God and how to earn that, then suffering is part of the game. And I never have to have everything. I only have what I need. And if God says, I deem you need less pleasure and that will tell you suffering, I can take it. Because I only need what I need and not more. People who are accustomed to the finer things in life have a lot more difficulties at dealing with suffering than those who are used to living with less. And the greatest tool to deal with suffering is to say, I only use this world to the degree I need it. It doesn't have to be a perfect world. Because the perfect world is the next world. He says, Esav, that's what my children know. Now they can take suffering. If I partner with you and you start giving me this world and I start wanting to believe that this world is something important, my kids will not be able to take suffering either. My kids will not be able to go through a Holocaust and remain Jews. Because I know what you're going to do to me eventually, Esav. You're going to be so jealous of our lifestyle, like Hitler and all the other people who were jealous of our lifestyle. You can't imagine how us religious people can have everything. So you're going to want to destroy us. And the only way we're going to be able to withstand your Holocaust is by living for that other world. And then I don't have to have everything in this world. It's deep messages, eh? From a few innocuous psukim. That's Torah's teaching. Okay, now decide. Decide. Decide as a Jew, as an observant Jew. How do you want to live your life? Is your life olam haba? In this world you're making your olam haba, and this world isn't that important. I can live with as little as possible because I'm building my house? Or what am I saying? No, this world, I've got to make myself happy. The psychology says if I'm happy, I'm this, I'm that. Then maybe I'll want a little bit of the next world. Is that what you're satisfied with? The end is Esav. And what was the end? Esav, the end says, you know what? It says, and Esav went back home. Back home, the same guy he was. He couldn't change, even after the truth was staring him in the face. Everything he said, look, the religious guy has everything, you have nothing. But I'm so addicted to this world, I can't change. And that's how Esav ends his life. And Yaakov comes complete, perfect in every way. In his Torah, in his health, in his money. Perfect. Now, how do you want to live your life? Now, there's one more thing. I need 2 more minutes. I'm sorry. I got to come back to the first question I didn't answer. So why is it tzaddik love his money so much? Didn't answer that, eh? You have to do that. Can't leave that out. The answer is, now that we've explained to you Yaakov's philosophy and Esav's philosophy, we can now appreciate how does a tzaddik view money? How does Esav view money? When a tzaddik, when money comes his way, does the tzaddik really care about the money? Is it important to him? It's not important. Important is the world to come. There's money. Okay, I have to have money. I have to have money. But money isn't me. It isn't what I'm all about. So where did the money come from? It came from God. Okay, so if God gave me the money, is it my money or is it God's money? If I live for this world, it's my money. I want to be happy. If I'm not living for this world, I'm just using this world what I need. I appreciate God gave me. It's God's money. So therefore, the Yaakov personality says, and that's what Yaakov said. He said, where did you get all this from? He said, this is all that God blessed me with. Where's all this wealth? He says, well, I was a genius. Look kind of shrewd businessman I was. I went and made the sticks, and I was able to do it at a certain time, and since I was such a clever shepherd, I became so rich. Yaakov says, you know what? Gift from God. Finished. You think I take pride? I'm in Forbes top 50 because of my great business acumen. I'm going to go around the world discussing my great business activities of switching the sticks and this and that. He says, God did it. There's no big deal for me. I'm missing the money. I said, okay, I guess I got to use it. He wants me to use it. But, I'm just a trustee. It's not mine. It's Hashem's money. Oh, it's Hashem's money. I got to be very careful with it because it's not mine. I can't waste any. It's his. Just as a king gives you a job to do, you have to do the job well. Imagine if the Almighty came, here's a Chaim, my friend, here's $1 million. You better watch it good. And at the end of your life, I'm going to ask an accounting for every penny you spent on it. And I want to make sure you did things to further the realm. You got it? Yes, sir. Now he looks at the money. Is it his money? I only gave it to you to get into Olam Haba, man. So you better make sure you have an account for every penny the way it's supposed to be. Yes, sir. That money's not mine. It's yours. Now, can I buy a little rice and fish for Shabbos? Yes, you can. Covered Shabbos, you're allowed to do that? Okay, fine. How about an expensive, elaborate sushi? Well, how's it going to further you being a servant of God? I just want to understand that extra $120 that you didn't want to give to tzedakah. I want to explain that expenditure to me, please. Well, I love this world. Aha! How does Asaph look at the world? Asaph looks, look, this is my world to enjoy. And it's my money. Well, if it's my money, that's a whole different philosophy, how you look at the money. Somebody comes to tzedakah, if it's my money, why should I give my money away to you? If it's God's money, it's God's money. If God allows me, let me look in the Shulchan Aruch. Okay, I already gave 20% to tzedakah. I did the maximum. Sir, I can't give you any more because I already gave 20% to the other people. Or if I didn't give 10%. Well, that's as I have to give it. So I'm going to give it. It's not what I want. It's what God's telling me to because I'm the trustee. That's the philosophy. If you live Yaakov, there's two Orthodox Jews, remember. Observant Jews. Esav and Yaakov are observant Jews. One observant Jew says it's my money. The other Jew says it's God's money. That's already a whole different story. Now what's the proof? What's the proof that the money is so precious? Because they don't rob. What do you mean they don't rob? It doesn't say they don't rob. It says they don't extend their hands. It says they don't stretch their hands out. Now the rabbis just don't have time to explain, but extending a hand means I feel it's mine and I'm taking it for myself. The tzaddik never, that's not a question he steals. It's not a question of him stealing. What about these gray areas? Where it's not against the law, but is it the right thing to do? We call that avak gezel, the dust of stealing. Is it out and out theft? No. Canadian law go to jail? No. Is it against? No. But it's, you try to find a way to get some money, maybe not. Wasn't the nicest way, whatever. Tzaddikim, they don't even touch anything. They don't want to take anything to be theirs. That's what it's saying. They're not poshed yad min hagezel. They don't grab things so they should have something for themselves. Even if it's not out and out theft, even if it's maybe even legal, but just to have something, to have a little more because you're a crafty businessman and you bargained the guy down. No, they're not into that. I don't have to have it to be mine. That's the difference. I'm not taking it from, it's not for me. So now you can understand now what he's saying. It's very interesting. You can understand a tremendous irony. The wicked person, or the person who thinks that the world, all is his, so he's very easy can waste the money too. The guy who's spending all his time making the money thinks he's making the money. Right? The guy says, this is my money. I made this money. I made $1 million. Has no problem going to Aurelia and blowing $500,000. You know why? It's my money. I can do what I want with it. The tzaddik says, hold on there. I have $1 million. I can't waste the money. Think I can just go to Aurelia and blow it? Think I just buy sushi over my head and spend more money than what I need on these things? It's God's money. And therefore, because of that, I have to be frugal with the money. Not cheap, not stingy, frugal. Meaning I have, and there's an expense, there's a bigger accountant who's going to be auditing my books when I leave this world. He's going to ask, was that a legitimate business expense? Business what? The business of learning Torah. Did this build a house? Or was this something to enjoy this world? So I just can't waste money like this. It's not money to blow. Why not? I'll just, I'll get a timeshare. I don't know if I need it or not. It costs $50,000. I'll just get it to have it, What do you tell me just give it? Well, I met easy come, easy go. Where did easy come, easy go? It came from God. He wants you to do this the right way. Now you understand why religious people, they're not quick to spend large amounts of money. Well, how much you want for that coat? $300. $300? This guy going to let me spend $300 on a coat when it costs you only $50? How much profit do you have to make already? Even according to halacha. I'll give you $150 for the coat. You still make a good profit. You got these people, it's crazy in the world now. People charge like it's going on the mind. You ever notice in this world, people are charging for a Ralph Lauren shirt, I don't know anymore. I could be wrong on these. Way beyond what a normal shirt costs. Why? What are you doing? You're taking the money and throwing it away. That's all you're doing. Why? You know why? Because I live this world to enjoy. This was my money. Now you understand the what do you call it? The marketing people know this. They know how people are, and they're happy to just blow their money because they think it's their money to blow. While a Jew says, it's not my money to blow. It's God's money. He's going to ask me, why did you spend $300 on a shirt you can get for $50? Not because we're stingy, not because we're cheap. It's not my money. You know what they call? It's called, you know, in shuls you have what's called a board. So they always like to say we have a fiduciary responsibility. It's not our money. It's the shul's money. Guess what? Every Jew has a fiduciary responsibility to use the money that God gave him right. And he's got to answer to his board, and that's in Shemaim. So what do you spend $400 on a shirt for? Handle him down. Well, you know, you don't handle down that the guy can't make a penny. If it costs him $50, I'm only going to buy it for $40. You don't Jew him down. Okay, $50, he's entitled to a nice profit. Nice profit is another $50. Give him $100. He's getting a nice profit on it. But I can't waste $300 so the guy just walks up with $200 for nothing. God gave me this way to use profit. You understand the difference? It's not cheap. It's not stingy. It's what would you do if you get a certain amount of money that the shul gave you to go and build a shul? You just blow the money? Or just use it? I'm going to have to spend what's reasonable expenses. So now, you get this. So now you understand why it says it's so chaviv, it's so special to them, it's so beautiful. It says their money is special to them. It says their money is special. It doesn't say money is special, their money. Let me give you an example. Let's say I go to you and say, you know, you're my best friend. I love you. You're such a great friend. I wish I had 100 more friends like you. Whenever you hear that, you should have a red flag. That guy doesn't like you at all. Because if you're such a good friend, what does he need 100 more? But what? You know, you're a good friend. I could take advantage of you. I wish I could take advantage of another 100 people. Person says, I have money. You know, question is, what kind of money? People love money. If you love money, then no matter how much money I have, I love money. I need to have more money. A tzaddik loves his money. What do you mean his? It says his money. His money, the one that God gave to him, that God allocated him. He loves that money because that's the money God wants to use properly. His money he loves because that's the allocation he got, and he has to use it the way God wants it. His money he loves. Other people's money he doesn't love. He doesn't care about anybody's money. Other people, the wicked people, love all money. Because I never can have enough. My money's not enough. What I make, I have to make more. So I understand why a tzaddik, why Yaakov will go back for a few little trinkets, few jugs. Why? Because God said, what happened to those jugs? I gave you those jugs. Did you use them in the service of God? I forgot. What do you mean you forgot? Why don't you go back and get them? Wait a minute, I have enough. What do you mean you have enough? It's mine. I wanted to use something for that. You're right. I can't waste anything. You're not allowed to waste. That's why it said it loves the money. Chavetz Chaim one time, Chavetz Chaim came to the city, and they brought him a beautiful tray, and they brought him the pieces of meat on a tray, the piece of meat that a Kohen is entitled to in the Beis HaMikdash. We don't have Beis HaMikdash. And the Kohen was muttering to himself. He said, what was he muttering? He says, this is kosher money, this is kosher money, this is kosher money. This is what the Kohen is entitled to get. Let me give you one amazing story, to tell how this goes. But you understand that the relevance of this part is unbelievable. It's the most practical thing that you're going to learn this week. Your whole life will change if you understand, if you have a Yaakov mentality. If you have a Yaakov mentality, you'll have 12 kids and parnasa and everything. And you'll be very religious. You live like Esav. You're not going to be having what you have. You're not going to have anything at the end. But Esav's argument was very seductive. And that's the seductive argument we've got to be careful about. Let me end with a beautiful story from Rabbi Eliezer Schnitzer. He's a rabbi who passed away long ago. He had a son, and the son, part of his marriage arrangement was he got a little pardes, an orchard, somewhere near Tel Aviv. The orchard was terrible. It was a terrible orchard. Didn't produce money. Lost money. The father felt bad for him. The father bought the orchard off him so his son didn't have to worry about it. So this rabbi, the Schnitzer, so he's got this orchard, and it didn't work with him either. It was just a terrible orchard. He's a rabbi. He doesn't have time. He sends some work. He's just losing money like crazy. So he tells me, I'd like to sell it. So word gets out that Rabbi Schnitzer wants to sell the orchard. Okay, word gets out. It's not a very beautiful, attractive orchard. It really was not a good orchard at all. Okay. Anyway, so a couple from people, some are real estate agents. So finally, a guy from America called and to this real agent says, I'm interested in buying a pardes. I was buying an orchard in Israel. So the guy says, if I got an orchard for you, Rabbi Schnitzer is trying to get rid of this orchard. We'll see what we're going to do. You get a good price. We'll give you a good price. Not charge you top dollar. Get a good price. So the agent tells Rabbi Schnitzer, okay, we got an American Jew who wants to buy the orchard. He says, fine, good. So fine. So they meet and they're going to take the bus to Tel Aviv. So on the bus ride, Rav Schnitzer, the three of them together, the agent, Rav Schnitzer, and the American. He says, listen, before you buy this field, I want to tell you something about this field. He says, number one, it's a terrible field. Number two, I'm going to tell you, every rock, there's a rock here. He spent an hour and a half dissuading the guy to buy it. You know, saying all the faults to it. You know, it's so bad I can't even handle it myself. So the real estate agent's going nuts. It seems like this rabbi has one mission to go, to dissuade the guy from buying it. Anyway, they finally get there. The Schnitzer comes in there. He says, oh, by the way, are you going to be living here or are you going to have hire workers here? Oh, I'm going to hire workers. Well, then you can really forget making any money. Because Gemara says, if you want to lose your money, leave it to other workers and stay in another country. And certainly if you get a lousy field, it's for sure not going to work. Are you sure you want to buy this field? So they start going to the field. He's showing everything that's wrong with the field. Mamish, you see here, this is a rock over here. You can't plant anything here. This is lousy here. This is lousy. This is lousy. Mama criminal's going to. Then in the middle, the wealthy American, he takes something out of his pocket. He seems to take a little pill out of his pocket. And the rest says, what was that you were doing? Well, I just take a pill. It's not a problem. So what's it for? Well, you know, I've got some heart problems. And the doctor said, well, heart problems? Forget it. I'm not selling it. It's not going to be. Case closed. I'm not selling it. Why? You know how much pain I had from this field? I don't want you to die from a heart attack because of this field. No way. Hashem should give you a refuah shalem. Hashem should make you better. You shouldn't have any more heart problems. The deal's over. Let's go home. Finished. So when Shvadron brings down the story, he says, so what was the whole point of the story? What the whole point of the story was? This American should get a bracha from a Schnitzer that he should feel better. But that's a person who says, this world, the next world's what counts. This world, I don't want to get a penny for money that I shouldn't get. I don't stretch my hand for anything. If this is bad for the other guy, why would I want to sell it then? Because of the money? The money's not mine. Now, how many people, when they sell their home and they know there's a leaky basement, this is it, we have a new thing in the real estate world, what? As is. As is means we're not prepared to tell you all the problems that it has because we're afraid you might want to get it for less. I'm not saying it's legal, it's allowed. I'm saying, who would do this, Esav or Yaakov? And if you get less, that's how much God's giving you. Right? So there is just an example of how a person can lead his life the way Yaakov lives. Hashem should help us to not be fooled by the seductions of Esav, which is very seductive. And to realize that even as an observant Jew, you got to realize what house you're really building, or if you're just involved in business with Hashem. Okay. Shkaya.